Hey guys, my name is Marcel. I'm from Gannikos and I'm here with Neil Yoda Hill.
Hey guys, first and foremost, I want to say it's great to have this opportunity to be able to speak to all you guys at home. I know that everyone out there would love to be here, but unfortunately it's not always the case. This is obviously Fibo 2019, so it's great to be able to bring this content from us here in Germany all the way around the world.
Do you remember your first Fibo?
Yes, that was 12 years ago. 12 years ago.
Okay.
So I came to my first Fibo 12 years ago.
Okay.
Then I came back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is actually the first Fibo I've been to since 10 years ago. So my first time in Cologne.
Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not.
And is there anything that you especially like in Germany? The food or the cars?
Yeah, I love the cars. I think anyone who says they don't like German cars, let's be honest, you guys build the best cars in the world by a long way. And not just one model. There's multiple different models up there within obviously the car industry where people they love their Mercedes, BMWs, etc., etc. And that doesn't include obviously all the other different manufacturers. But as far as food and everything else in between, you can imagine I'm here at Fibo. It's all about work. It's obviously being here on the booth, interacting with everyone. So you don't get the chance to actually have much time to downtime and enjoy. So as much as I'd like to say, yeah, I've seen all these different places and enjoyed the cultural foods you guys have here, unfortunately I haven't. I've been just working very, very hard.
Okay. So let's talk about nutrition because you be an expert. A lot of people have struggled to stay in shape or to become in shape.
Yeah.
Why? Is it the mindset or is it the discipline? What do you think?
I think it's a number of different things, but I also think it's the internet because I feel the great thing about the internet, it gives an amazing platform to educate people, yes? But there's a huge amount of conflicting information out there and people digest it. And then they're left confused what they shouldn't do. Also, I think there's a lot of people, and no disrespect guys out there, selling a lot of like bullshit sort of theories on, it's okay to eat these Cocoa Pops before you train or after you train, and you can have these muffins, and you can have this, and you can have that. And there's no real substance or value or meaning behind some people's choices. They just do it because it seems to be the forte at the time. If we go back 15, 20 years, guys were consistently in shape. Yet they were eating very different back then, So I think there's a mixture of multiple different things. But ultimately, to be honest with you, losing body fat and gaining muscle tissue is pretty easy as long as you follow the structured program which is designed specifically for you. So we're all very, very different. So the program that I design when it comes to supplementation, training, nutrition could be very different from one individual to another. So as much as I'd love to go into a full spectrum of that right now, it's impossible because it would take me literally hours or days to talk about those things. But ultimately, I think that people are being confused with a lot of false information out there, conflicting information. They're trying to make things easier. They keep changing programs from training to the diets every couple of days, and instead of trusting the process and following the process day after day, week after week, and obviously being patient with what they're doing. And a lot of people want tomorrow, today, instead of looking at the bigger picture.
Do you think the science base is more important or the experience?
I think, to be honest with you, experience. I'd always say experience 10 times over science. Because if we look at science, the human body doesn't always do what science says. There's a lot of times when I'm working with my athletes, I have to forget about science and just think about things logically and look at the direction of that person's physique is going. Are they going in the right direction? Are they stalling? Are they going backwards? I don't really do a lot of, my emphasis and my diets and my structure is based on experience and not just, science is just a small part of what I implement. Yes, there's always going to be the foundations which are based around science, but that's just a small part of everything else that I do with my clients.
And do you read studies or where came new input from?
Yeah, of course, there's some great case studies out there which gives you obviously the availability to learn so much. But at the same time, like I said, there's a lot of studies which contradict themselves. You could have a study today on beta alanine, okay, and its ability, to see change for whatever that might be, okay, on a particular person, So, for instance, it might have the ability to force down lactic acid, so there could be an increase in performance because lactic acid buildup is obviously forced down, allowing that person to train longer or do more repetitions or lift heavier. And that maybe basis may be based over 4 or 6 grams, whereas 3 months later there might be another independent study which is actually saying contradicting to what was put out there 3 months ago. So I think a lot of it is trial and error, and we also have to understand that we have to base our principles on individuals, meaning things are structured for them, and not always thinking purely based around science research. Because as much as I like to learn, if I was to extract everything out there when it comes to the research and development in multiple studies, I'd be very confused because there's a lot of confliction.
What are the 3 top supplements for a guy who lifts really heavy and wanna get big?
I'd say probably the first and foremost is gut health, making sure that your gut health is very, very in tune. A lot of people, they look at proteins, they look at foods, and they think that, they're eating a great basic diet, from macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbohydrates. And, most of us know that proteins are the building blocks of muscle. We also know that carbohydrates are muscle sparing. And people, consume vast amount of food, use different supplementation, whereas their digestive system is not cleansed, it's not efficient, there's a lot of inflammation taking place. So they really are consuming very small amounts of the macronutrients, the trace elements, the vitamins, the minerals, and the calories that they're consuming. So for me, first of all, gut health and taking gut health support supplements and immune supplement is always top of the list, all right? Secondly to that, then I would say a really good basic bioavailable protein, which is going to be bioavailable and digested. And again, there's a lot of different companies out there producing proteins, but I would say there's a vast amount of companies out there which are actually selling inferior product because their bodies are not actually bioavailably able to actually digest and utilize those proteins. So a good protein powder, and then the third thing.
What kind? Whey protein, casein, or mixed protein?
Well, to be honest with you, I like my hydrolyzed whey. I like a protein which is hydrolyzed. It's the bioavailability. Just alone with what we manufacture here with Yamamoto. Yeah. I feel like as long as you get a really good solid protein powder, whether it's hydrolyzed or whether it's whey or whether it's isolate, there obviously are differences, and you are going to have different values as far as that being sort of dripped into your blood as far as like your nitrogen balances.
Yeah. But do you think a normal athlete need this?
I would say that I think that normal athletes will always benefit from a fast-acting protein straight after training. That's what I feel. If you're training hard enough, and all those key branch chains and also essential aminos are in there as well as it. So you've got a full spectrum of proteins. I feel that, to me, is potentially a must. But, the list could not really even be broken down to just 3 things. We've obviously got creatine, we've got omega-3s. I'm a big advocate on omega-3s in general for overall health and support immune for inflammation, and also an elevation of potential of hormonal reaction, etc. Yeah. And then obviously we got our branch chains and essentials and everything in between. So my theories or my philosophies or my input on what I feel the top 3 supplements could be very, very different from another coach. But hopefully that's given you a small insight. And of course, I'm talking now on an aspect as long as those clients are actually healthy in the sense that they're healthy. They're healthy and their digestive systems are able to actually digest and utilize those bioavailable products, which they should be bioavailable, but a lot of products aren't. And so that's my basis of.
And what do you think about hardcore boosters or hardcore fat burners with amphetamine derivatives?
Okay, so first and foremost, do I recommend a fat burner? Yes, but when it's needed. Yeah. We can create our own thermogenesis taking place. We can create our own environment, to increase our metabolism, raise our body core temperature, burning calories. So for me, I would never start somebody on a fat loss fat burner first thing when they were dieting. I'd be looking at, forcing that reaction an internal hormonal basis as well as external on a physical basis. Those will be the fundamental things that I would implement. And then as fat loss starts to dissipate or actually slow down, and I feel that my macronutrient values are in place, I'm happy with the elevation as far as where my carbs, my proteins and fats, then that's when I might look at a fat burner. But I would never start looking at a fat burner at the beginning of the program. That would be a very secondary or third thing that I would implement at some point.
And what about boosters? Boosters.
Test boosters?
Pre-workout boosters.
Pre-workouts. Okay, yeah. So as far as pre-workout guys, here at Yamamoto, we obviously do a number of different pre-workouts, okay? And all our pre-workouts are based around individuals, okay? Because we know that people are individual, and their needs are different. Our formulations are patented, and they all include, a number of different bioavailable pharmaceutical raws, from citrulline to beta-line alanine to our essentials to our branch chains, etc. That's just to obviously name a few. I do feel that nitric oxide enhancement as far as pre-workouts can have a part to play in performance, not just performance but also in recovery as well, but you also need to make sure that all the other things are in place as well. So I tend to push and promote my pre-workouts to my clients based around a serving on leg days and back days, because they're the most, obviously physically demanding. Yeah. And then I tend to do, say, half a serving or 3/4 of a serving on other days. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of pre-workouts, but please understand, I'm an advocate of pre-workouts which are based around efficacious, bioavailable pharmaceutical raws, which are actually forcing and creating, obviously, an increase in blood flow, forcing down free radicals, seeing an elevation in nitric oxide, etc., as well as nitrogen as far as your proteins, and not a stimulant which is based just purely around a stimulant. Because yes, we could say caffeine is just one stimulant that we could use. For instance, I feel like roughly about 200 milligrams is enough to create that stimulus, whereas a lot of people will buy a pre-workout just because they want to be stimmed out. Well, to me, if you need a stimulant to walk into the gym, then you're not in the gym for the right reasons. If you're serious about your training, you don't even need a supplement which has a stim. Your mind is your stimulation. Your motivation is your stimulation. Everything else in that product is based around, aiding blood flow, aiding recovery, forcing down free radicals, increasing or maintaining a nitrogen balance, and trying to keep you in that anabolic state as long as possible. Because as we know, as we train hard and we train intense, whether it's high reps, low reps, or medium reps, we are going to potentially go catabolic at some point. If you don't, then you're probably not training hard enough. And training hard enough isn't about the amount of time that you spend in the gym. Training hard about is being smart and efficient with your time in the gym.
When a young guy came to you and he has a very bad genetic for bodybuilding, yep, what are you doing?
Do you know, I've actually been asked by a couple of online clients recently, and also some new clients who showed me pictures and said, this is the goal that they're trying to look, and they may show me a picture. And I've been very honest and said, listen, I don't want to sort of, smash your dreams, but your goals are just not achievable. Now, I know that, people say, believe to achieve, dream big, everything is achievable. No, it's fucking not, guys. Not everything is achievable, unfortunately, but building a great physique, okay, is achievable for everyone. Anyone can build a great physique, but that's not going to take place unless you're committed and you put your time and attention into the gym. Please understand and be realistic with your goals. Otherwise, you're going to find that you're going to get disheartened at some point. Your motivation is going to go down. Your desire to train is going to go down. The whole emphasis of us training is because it's something that allows us to implement our time and our attention and our energy and our passion into something which we really love, and that is to be in the gym and doing something which is personally for ourselves, yes? And then allow the process and allow your body to go in the direction as far as your body composition is going to allow it to.
Do you think young people these days taking too much and too fast steroids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, this is another thing about the internet. There's a lot of really bad information out there, which these younger generation, from whether they're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 or whatever, I don't think that there's any reason in any way whatsoever that any male, okay, should need the desire to use any enhancement supplementation until they're probably 22, 23, 24. Their own natural test levels that through puberty should be more than high enough, okay? But that being said, I understand that the competitive field is very competitive. My advice to you guys out there is be very sensible in what you're doing. Don't take advice from people which have not achieved it themselves. If you're extracting information from somebody who has not achieved greatness on stage consistently, okay, and achieved that physique with a very small amount of enhancement, then I would not be listening to it, because the market is flooded with so much bad information. And that's one thing I just want to touch base on. Look, I'm looking forward to launching my website. So it's going to be my subsite. So it's www.y3tworld.com. And my subsite is going to be everything about what I do with myself and all of my athletes, as well as my scientific team. So we've got 2 doctors on my team. We've also got a biochemist. And this is something where I'm looking forward to launching, obviously, very soon in 2019. So you guys and girls will actually have the ability to learn reality. Okay, everything on there will be able to be backed up from science, research, and on data. But also, you're going to have all the wealth of knowledge that I personally have of being in the industry for 31 years, who doesn't just work with science. I work with evidence. Okay, hard hours, all the years that I've been doing this, as well as the other expertise and professionals in the company.
Do you think older athletes or athletes from the golden era, they have another mindset, a different mindset?
I don't know if it's actually a different mindset. I think maybe yes. There's things that today, things are just so easy. Everybody doesn't want to wait. Nobody's got any patience. Everybody wants it tomorrow. Social media is great because it allows us to do things instantly and put it out there. But also, I would say 80%, 90% what you see on social media, guys, with all the people that you look up to is very fake. It's very, very fake. They're basically putting their little selfies up on themselves or putting content up there, filtering this, filtering that, making everything look sort of sweet and dandy. Life isn't sweet and dandy, unfortunately. Life is pretty fucking tough. You need a reality check. You need a big reality check. I think back in the golden era, when the likes of Dorian were competing, that's what I would have said. That year, people worked hard. Dorian was just such a relentless professional athlete in so many in such different ways, and that's why, for instance, a genetically more gifted athlete by the name of Flex Wheeler didn't win. The guy was lazy. He didn't have the work ethic, had the physique, but he didn't have the mentality. And my point is that whether we go back to the 80s or the 90s or 2019, we're here in Fibo, hard work pays off. Nobody wants to work hard, but everything in life is going to take hard work. You need to be patient.
The people often talk about Kuwait, and they talk, they can change your genetics there. But I don't think that something like that is possible.
No, it's not possible at all, guys. I think there's a big false expectation about Kuwait. I think Oxygen is probably the best gym in the world if you want to travel to a gym which has an array of endless pieces of equipment. Okay, I said endless pieces of equipment. Okay, but let's just face facts here. Have we seen a multi-Olympian champion, okay, come out of Kuwait yet? All right, have we seen that taking place yet? No, we haven't seen that at all. My point is that if we look at probably the greatest Olympia of all time, so if you look at all the past Mr. Olympias to our present Mr. Olympia, Sean Roden, and we put all those athletes on stage when they were at their all-time best, personally, I would have had Ronnie Coleman win, okay? That's what I've had. Then I would have probably have Phil Heath. Then I would probably have Dorian. That would have been my place in. Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, then Dorian. Where did Dorian and where did Ronnie Coleman come from? They came from the most baked gyms in the world. None of this fancy shit in Oxygen. You don't need that equipment. Do I think that it's great to have the opportunity to have so much selection? Yes. But it's not the selection of exercises or the fancy, gadgets which is going to create the, physique. It really is hard work. So my point is that Yeah, it's an amazing experience to go to Kuwait and experience Kuwait. I would highly recommend anyone go there at some point and enjoy and experience, oxygen. It is unbelievable. But do you need to be there to be the best? No. Did Dorian Yates have to live in the USA, in California, to win that title? No. Did Ronnie Coleman have to live in California to win that title? No. Did Phil Heath have to do it? No. So my point is like, let's just face the facts, guys. It comes down to hard work. It comes down to discipline, hard work. It comes down to keeping things very basic and living that relentless lifestyle. So hopefully that's answered that question for you.
Can you tell us something about Flex Lewis? He's now 7-time Mr. Olympia, and how it is to work with him.
So I've been very fortunate to have such an amazing experience and very blessed to have, a very meaningful coach, athlete, and friendship relationship with Flex now for 16 years.
Friendship?
Yeah, Johnny years. I mean, I've been coaching Flex for 16 years. 16 years, So, I've been coaching Flex for 16 years. That's a long time. We've won every single show together. Everything that you can win and achieve. We won all the junior titles around the world. We traveled the world as junior bodybuilders. We traveled the world as professional athletes. He's a 7-time 212 Mr. Olympia, the first athlete to ever win the 212, the first person to ever win the 212 Arnold as well. And now he has stepped away from holding that pinnacle event or that pinnacle title for the 7th time, and we were resting up in 2019, and our focus is to compete in 2020 as a true open bodybuilder. Things on that front at the moment are leading forward in a very positive way, but we're focusing on today, and then we'll focus on tomorrow, and then we'll focus on next week. We know what we need to do. 2020 is a long way away, but we need to sort of channel our focus and not get distracted by other things and just stick to what we know that we're going to apply day in, day out as athlete and coach to do the very best in 2020 and represent the IFBB Pro League internationally in multiple different areas.
Do you remember the first time when you meet him?
Yeah, it was 2003. I actually was a guest star and a judge at the 2003 Paul Grant Welsh Championships. The year before, I actually won the under 90 kilo class, the overall, and also the open Welsh the same day to go on to win my IFBB Pro card. So that was where I met Flex for the very first time. And that's when our friendship and our athlete relationship started. As I said, that was 16 years ago. It was a pretty remarkable.
When you see him, he could be a good pro?
As soon as I saw Flex walk on stage, I had goosebumps. My hair stood up because I had never seen anyone with so much professionalism and uniqueness and lines at such a young age. He was 19 years of age. He had legs like a professional bodybuilder. He had the upper body of a junior, a very young junior bodybuilder. He was only 19. But the shape was there. It was a body of two halves, but his shape and structure was there. And if you actually look at pictures at 2003 and you look at where he is today, I'm sure you'll agree that the changes and the response and the body composition that we see now of Flex is so beautiful. It's just a blend of everything. It's bodybuilding. Bodybuilding to me is carrying enough muscle to be competitive. Okay, symmetry, shape, alignment, attachments, condition, refinement. It's a blend of everything. And then stepping on stage and showing art on stage. Art to me is that you just step on stage, and when you present yourself with your routine and your mannerisms and you hold yourself in all the mandatory poses, it should be art. And that's what you see when Flex Lewis steps on stage. And that is why Flex Lewis is the greatest lightweight bodybuilder of all time. He's also the first IFBB professional making history by winning 18 consecutive straight IFBB Pro shows. That has never been done before. Ronnie Coleman won 17 straight shows. Flex has won 18. So I think that speaks volumes in itself. And also I think that the way that he conducts himself and the way that he represents the IFBB Pro League, because this is what we are. we're a part of the, an amazing, the best federation in the world. Yes, we represent bodybuilding as a whole, whether it's NABA, whether it's WABA, whether it's PCA, whether it's IFBB. I have the utmost respect for all the athletes, wherever they compete. But the reality is, if you want to be associated with the best of the best federation in the world, then the IFBB Pro League is the pinnacle. And that, to me, is something that we're very, very proud of. And we don't just fly the flag for ourselves or our native companies like Yamamoto Nutrition or Wales. We represent ourselves and we fly the flag for the IFBB Pro League wherever we are, whether in Australia or whether we're here in Fibo.
When I watch Miss Olympia, every time I think, the 212 athletes, they have a better condition, they look better, they look fresher.
Yep.
Why is this so?
I think it's because so many people are consumed with being big on stage. With that open class is an amazing division. And yes, the majority of people want to see the open class athletes, okay? I get that. But unfortunately, I feel a lot of the open class athletes, they're just trying to create the illusion of mass on stage instead of create the illusion of class. One thing that I will say when I'm standing to you, we recently had obviously the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, and obviously in Australia, one of my Y3T team athletes, William Bonac, competed in both those shows, coming second in Columbus. And I'm not going to say I wasn't disappointed with the place, because I felt that we did more than enough to warrant to win there and maintain that title. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. And William came second. Then we went to Australia 2 weeks later. But my point is if you look at William Bonac, we are always consistent. We always bring our shape. We always bring our condition. We do not get caught up on mass. That is just a small fraction. And currently, I feel that William is the most complete, refined, three-dimensional, complete bodybuilders in every sense in the IFBB Pro League currently. From head to toe, he has muscle, he has density, he has refinement, he has separation, he has fullness, he has everything that a Mr. Olympia is about. And obviously our focus now is for William to enjoy some downtime with his family. He's been dieting, for sort of like 22 weeks. He's now over in the US guest posing at the moment over in a MPC show. That's why he's not here this weekend. But once he's enjoyed some time off and enjoyed family for the next sort of month or so, then obviously we will flick our attention back into Olympia prep and focus and see if that we can obviously go to Vegas and do the very best we can, obviously in Las Vegas.
Flex Lewis versus William Bonac. Next year on stage, who will win?
Well, there's two totally different physiques. So first and foremost, for us to form those opinions, we have to understand that they're in two different places. If we were to look at the William Bonac of today and the Flex Lewis of last year, I still feel that William will beat Flex, because I feel his thickness and his density will be too much, okay? But that was 2019. We're not stepping on stage until 2020, okay? William competes at about 234-ish, roughly about 234. Flex obviously was 212. I feel that if we can represent, a reflection of the same package we brought to Las Vegas in 2018 on stage in 2020, and we're roughly about 24, we're probably about 222, 224, I feel that's a real physique which will be able to challenge anyone and everyone. Anyone and everyone. I feel that the symmetry and the shape and maturity of Flex at 222, 224 will be a very, very powerful physique for anyone to beat and challenge. Where the cookie goes and where the placing is going to go down to multiple different variables. At the moment, I would definitely say that William would beat Flex on stage. Bearing in mind, okay, my love and my respect and my commitment to both those athletes is equal. I'm going to prep William to win the show. I'm going to prep Flex to win the show. I'm also going to be prepping Big Ramy to win the show as well. So there's another mix, another athlete in the mix there. All three totally different structures. And I feel that all of them have the ability to win that title. But I will say this, is that where will they place if all of them are able to bring the best versions of them into the stage in 2020, it's going to be in the judges' hands, because all I know is that if everything goes to plan, it's going to be one hell of a battle on that stage. And if I'm able to bring those three athletes into the 2020 Mr. Olympia at the all-time best, I feel confident that the team are going to be first, second, and third. Where that is, I don't know. Do I think that Flex Lewis can win the 2020 Mr. Olympia? 100%. There's no doubts about it. I know he can. Okay? But we know that we have to do a lot of hard work, and that's what we're doing. We're working really hard because that is our goal in 2020 to win it. But this is the same goal is with William, and it's with Ramy as well.
One last question. Do you think it's better for an athlete to be smaller or taller?
I don't think it's easier to be taller or smaller. I mean, don't think if you're taller, you need longer, and you have longer limbs, it potentially is going to require a little more time to fill out that physique. But that being said, you carry structure and you carry presence when you're taller and wider. So, I feel that a completely symmetrical tall athlete will always potentially beat a shorter symmetrical athlete if all things are equal, yes? But that's the great thing about bodybuilding. It isn't equal. Everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses. It's, let's just go back. Do I believe that Flex Lewis can win the 2020 Olympia? Yes. Do I believe he will win the Olympia in 2020 if things go to plan? 1,000,000%. But I also feel the same for William as well. Okay?
And they're both small.
And they're both small. Okay? They're both small. But then you have the stature of a big Ramy, or you have Brandon Curry, who's just taken away, amazing win in Columbus, Ohio. So, this is where I see the athletes. I see the top 6 in the 2018 or 2020 Olympia, even though we're fast forwarding a year. I see Brandon up there. I see William up there. I see Sean up there. I see Ramy, and I see Flex. That's where I see the top 5 or 6. And Rowley. That's the top 6. In what order? We'll wait and see. But I'm just excited. I love what I do. I love the pressure and everything in between. I always do my very best to give my best to my athletes from my time and my attention and my love. And I'm very fortunate to be in an amazing position to do what I do.
One last question. Do you think social media confuses sometimes athletes, professional athletes?
I think social media confuses everyone. I don't think you need to be a professional athlete to be confused with what we see out there on social media. I think that 80% of what we see out there is fake and it's bullshit. It really, really is. People want to portray themselves a certain way, and understand as well. I'm around a lot of these professional top athletes, okay? And top amateur athletes and celebrities and corporate businessmen around the world. And believe you me, not everything that you see on socials is them. It's very fake. So I think that, social media has got its place. It's got its place, but I also feel that you just have to extract the real value from it. I like to stay in my bubble. I have a bubble and I like to be in that bubble. I don't need to know what's going on around me. I don't really need to know what's going on social media. I want to focus on my life and the people who I hold dear to me, and that to me is the most important thing.
Okay, so thank you for your time. It was great. I have a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And guys, we see us.